back to Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that is very disappointed in you, young man. I had much higher expectations of your behavior. That's right. Remy, do you remember 3 weeks ago when we were talking about the fall 2025 season premieres for fall in 2025? We were talking about the...
Wait, hold on.
Hold on.
Let me think. We're talking about fall. You sure that was me?
Yeah, no. I think I was pretty
we
sure
were
it was
talking
you.
about that?
Yeah, no, I think it was you.
It was me?
There was we don't have any other hosts on this show. It's just you
Did
and me.
we record it?
Yeah, no, we recorded it.
We recorded that?
Yeah.
And it was for sure me and you.
It was definitely me. It was definitely me.
Oh man. I gotta stop drinking codeine.
We were talking about the upcoming season of One Punch Man season 3, and
One Punch Man.
One Punch Man. What did I tell the people? Do you remember what I said?
What did you say? You were talking to me?
Yeah, no, I was talking to
about
you.
One Punch Man?
About One Punch Man season 3, S3.
Geez.
OPM S3.
I remember I said that we should all have lower expectations. I remember saying that. That the show is just fine, and anybody who expected season 1 is going to be sorely disappointed. I remember saying that. Was that on the podcast?
That was on the podcast. You pretty much got it.
And that was to you?
That was me. I said that to you.
That was you?
That was me to you. That was me to you.
And it was to me.
Yeah.
Man, I got to stop drinking codeine.
And I said we all need to just be chill because it's not going to be season 1. And you know what? I see the people out here. They're not being chill, Remy. They're not being chill about this season at all.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. That's what I said. This is exactly what was going to happen.
Yes. I don't like to sit on my laurels and gloat, but man, we just keep being right about these things. That's all I wanted to point out. We don't have to dwell on One Punch Man, OPM S3. So there's got to be something else in the wider world of manga that we can talk about. That's basically all I've been thinking about is how unchill people are being about One Punch Man.
You've been stewing on this?
I've been stewing on this,
reaction?
and I need to get away from it. It's not healthy. It's not a good mindset. I need to move away from this. Surely you've been doing something these last 3 weeks that I have been fuming over this.
I mean, I don't really understand that reaction because it seemed like you had, if I remember correctly, and I think this was you. It might have been you, but we had been...
Oh, me?
Somebody I was talking to on this podcast was saying something about how this was not even their particularly favorite arc of One Punch Man, that they had kind of dropped off around this point because the ratio of joke to punch had become sort of out of whack.
You said that to me.
Did I say that to you? I think you said that to me, or somebody I was talking to said that to me. I think
it
on
could
a
have been
podcast.
It might have been me. I don't know. We'll have to check who our guest was on that episode.
I don't remember quite, but I do remember that, and I do remember, at the very least, I do remember you being less than enthusiastic at some point about this season anyway.
Yeah.
So I am surprised to hear that you have been dwelling on this.
Well, it's not so much about One Punch Man. It's more that I had higher expectations of the culture, I thought we were above this. I thought that maybe we had some poise in class, but they just keep letting me down.
What? You did?
Oh, yeah. No, I did.
Okay, maybe you need to lay off the codeine. I think you might need to get your head back on straight.
Well, I am going cold turkey off of diazepams, benzos, man. Not even once.
Really? Why? They're great. They rock. That shit rules, especially when you mix them with alcohol. Have you ever done that? That shit kicks ass. I highly recommend anyone listening to this podcast take painkillers and drink alcohol.
Anime, this is fun. Parody. This is a joke bit. Anime Death Spiral does not.
It's good. I'm being 100% serious.
We do not endorse
ass.
taking pills and drinking alcohol.
if you like go on a drive, especially late at night when it's foggy and you can't see very well, I mean, that is the vibe. that is the official vibe of this podcast.
Wow.
Being absolutely like blasted like a mumblecore rapper from 2014.
I don't know, man. I just feel
driving.
I don't know. I feel like maybe that's bad advice. I feel bad giving out that advice to our listeners. They're impressionable 8-year-olds, you know?
You know, if you're not gonna like go out and watch a bunch of anime, I'm just proposing the second best alternative, as mindless entertainment.
By the way, do you know that? Do you know that most of our downloads are through Roblox games?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
That's the majority of our audience is Roblox. So, you know, that would be criminals and children.
You know, I have been like ripped off by Roblox, right?
You got some serious V-Bucks ripped off?
No, somebody legit stole one of my songs and started posting it on Roblox as like part of their like marketplace.
Wow. I did not actually know that. That sucks. That sucks.
It sucks. Roblox sucks. It's a bad place. Man. After the initial flattery wears off, it is like, wait a second. These motherfuckers.
Wow.
Listen, we don't consider anime to be quite as classy a hobby as doing painkillers and driving through the night.
No, that's something cool celebrities do, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool, and anime is kind of lame, but there is something very cool if you're a smart intellectual like I am. There's a way to channel anime through the prism of being a cool, smart guy.
Really? Wait, you've discovered this wonderful secret?
I have, and I figured this is the only place I can actually talk about it.
Oh, you gotta tell me. I need to make my family respect me, so you gotta tell me.
Yeah, no, they won't respect you.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Like even a little bit?
No, not even a little bit.
Oh,
I can't
right.
help you there.
Okay.
Because they're probably plebes. They're probably plebeians. The underclass. They wouldn't understand what I'm about to talk about. And frankly, I feel like even discussing this on a podcast itself might be pearls before swine, because what I did, my anime for the last couple weeks was going to the museum.
Whoa!
That's right. I did a smart intellectual guy thing. I pulled the ultimate smart intellectual guy move, and I went to the De Young. I happened to be in San Francisco at the same time that the Art of Manga exhibit was being presented at the De Young.
Wow. That actually sounds really interesting.
And it was, and it kicked ass. And it was super smart guy stuff. And I will say, it was also very condescending.
Oh, I bet.
I can't lie. It was, this is classic.
Hey, you dumb Americans may have never heard of a little guy named Osamu Tezuka, but let me tell you about him.
Well, hold on. No, we'll get to that. Now, I want to lay out what generally it was, and then we'll get to stuff like that.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say this is like an interesting thing, because we're talking about, I think, in conjunction with Chainsaw Man the movie, which I want to talk about as well. But I think this exhibit is really, along with that movie, kind of the tip of this spear. It's the J invasion has like reached critical mass, and I think this exhibit is part of it. And I think that specifically because it is not like a Tezuka or Miyazaki retrospective. This is a full spectrum, like, here is what manga was, is, and will be kind of thing, to jumpstart people who never had any interest in anime or manga into what is now the dominant American culture.
Well, the meme was people sharing that IGN article talking about how Demon Slayer in 2019 outsold all of Marvel and DC comic sales combined.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because those comics suck.
Well, yeah. No, it's because they suck.
I mean, come on.
But also, it's like, so does Demon Slayer, kind of. Demon Slayer is mid. I'm
Demon Slayer is mid, but I have read all of Demon Slayer, and I have never once finished an entire arc of Iron Man ever in my entire life. So, take that as you will.
I was going to say the same for me, but I did actually read an entire arc of Green Lantern comics once.
Wow. Of all the characters, of all the capes, Green Lantern.
Yeah, the entire multi-title, like, interconnected event.
So you went with the cop, the explicit Galaxy cop. That's who you chose to stick with.
It was part of the reason I was interested it was called the Brightest Day arc, and it was introducing, it was the first major event to introduce, like, the multicolored different lantern cores beside the Green Lanterns,
Sure, fuchsia lantern.
Yeah.
Auburn lantern.
Yep.
Mystery color lantern.
And so I was mostly interested in the faction that they set up as the Antifa lanterns.
Antifa lantern, black bloc lantern.
Yeah, basically.
Oh God.
So, anyway, we're getting off topic. Back to the manga thing. So you did like nerd smart guy shit at the museum.
I did nerd smart guy shit, and like I said, this is specifically because it is part of this. The cultural weight has truly once and for all shifted. This was an exhibit that covered, I want to say, let's see, the first part of the exhibit was the beginning of the 1960s, and it was set up as a range of influential manga artists, and I think their selection was both interesting because of who they chose and who they omitted. As I alluded to before, Tezuka's not in this exhibit.
Oh, shit. Okay.
He is not part of this exhibit, and there's a lot of bizarre omissions from my perspective. I will kind of get to it but like I genuinely went in not expecting Tezuka because like I said, he's sort of in a Miyazaki mode. Like if there was a Tezuka exhibit, it would be the Tezuka exhibit.
Right, yeah.
He is that dude. And when they do a Miyazaki thing, they do a Ghibli thing, it is the Miyazaki Ghibli exhibit. Whereas this is manga at large. That being said, I just to kick it off, this is essentially produced and funded by Eiichiro Oda himself, essentially.
Really?
Basically, yeah. I mean, there is a completely separate Eiichiro Oda room as part of this exhibit.
Oh, I see the game now. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. He's fluffing himself up a little bit with this one.
The part of the exhibit that I did not pay extra to see, but I would have been really interested in, is there was an entire room that walks you through Oda's process, his entire process from like penciling all the way to completing and producing like a chapter of One Piece. Including all of like his original pieces and stuff.
I'm imagining like one of those like big wall-sized Rube Goldberg machines where he, feeds a piece of paper into one end and then it goes through a wacky series of Burton-esque contraptions, and out the other end comes, like a steaming pile of One Piece manuscripts.
It could be. I will never know because I didn't want to pay the extra $15.
Oh wow, you really screwed up on that one. You should have paid the $15.
I didn't want to do it.
What were you going to use that $15 for in this economy? Drugs, probably.
Well, at the museum itself, I could have used the $15 to play gachapons because there was a wall of gachapons as part of the exhibit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't spend all of your money there instead of just not going to the exhibit.
I did not do that. I did not get any gachapons. I did not, even though I did exit through the gift shop, I did not buy anything. There was nothing that was quite interesting enough for me to purchase, though I was very tempted to get the hardbound Tomie copy.
Oh, I have that.
Came very close. I know, it's very cool.
Yeah.
It's a really nice copy. But the exhibit itself was very interesting. It starts with Keiichi Tanami. Do you know who this is?
No. I mean, I probably do, but the name isn't ringing any bells.
I think he started drawing manga in the 60s, I believe. He started doing like graphic design and manga around the same time. He did, very famously, I think he did one of the Monkeys album covers, which I think is very funny.
Okay. They were a fake band.
Okay, well, it was a real album cover, and that's the important part.
All right.
He also did a lot of like kind of 60s psychedelic graphic design. I think a lot of his stuff is very recognizable if if you did ever look at the kind of the pop culture stuff around the 60s with the Monkees. He did a Jefferson Airplane cover too. And I learned after the museum itself did not mention this, but I did learn this after that he was an art director on the Japanese edition of Playboy at one point, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. Which is, that's wild. But he did a lot of weird pop culture stuff like that, and then moved into kind of more general like psychedelia. We moved from him as, I guess, sort of the post-war like beginning of like pop art into somebody who really established manga, who is somebody I think you would recognize, Tetsuya Chiba. He was the next artist. Obviously, most famous work is probably Ashita no Joe, right?
Yeah. Man, do I have stuff to say about boxing manga, but we'll get to that later.
Well, there is no boxing manga that does not pay tribute to Ashita no Joe, because Ashita no Joe is insanely funny.
One of my favorite bits in Dan to Dan is Okaroon, trying to learn how to throw a punch by reading old issues of Ashita no Joe.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, well, he killed that guy.
Straight up murdered him.
He fucking killed that guy. I still think that's bullshit, though. I got into an argument when we were going over this exhibit, because I was like, Joe, if you punch a guy to death in the ring, you win. And my siblings there were like, no, he won. The guy who died won. He was pronounced the winner. And I'm like, I don't care who was pronounced the winner. If you die in the ring, you lost. You lost.
I mean, how do you pronounce him the winner posthumously? If you're dead, you are in fact a loser.
I think he was declared. I don't remember the exact sequence from the manga.
Wait, were they
but
boxing for technical points or some shit?
He was declared the winner moments before collapsing into death.
Oh,
but I still think, hey, he
different.
He did not exit the ring, though. He did not even make it out of the ring before
if
dying.
He lived long enough to be pronounced winner by the referee, then he's the winner, even if he dies immediately after. I take it back. That guy still wins.
I already went through this before. I still think if you die, you lost. Anyway, there's some really interesting, and the exhibit kind of lays out original prints and like famous panels and stuff, and kind of gives you an overview of each of these people. And so they had some of his original sketches and things, which were really interesting. And they had some from some of his other work too. Notari Matsutaro, which I think is the sumo one. I did not read that one.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah. He also did a sumo thing. I believe he's a sumo. It's from the panels. He sure looked like a sumo guy. From there, we moved to Fujio Akatsuka, who you might be familiar with.
I might be, if I was a smart guy.
He did, let's see, what would you know? Nama-chan, Osumatsu-kun, do you know that one?
I don't think so.
I think if I showed you some of the character designs, you would immediately recognize it. It is like a gag manga. He did a lot of...
you know what? I do recognize this guy's art style.
Yeah, it's like very big. He did a lot of gag stuff, early gag stuff that was based on like kind of American 20s and 30s like comedy routines, slapstick stuff.
Yeah.
It like incredibly influential. He did like hundreds of serializations. Also some wildly racist shit.
Well, that goes without saying.
Oh man. But he's great. I mean, he's great, and he established like a very particular anime aesthetic that I think became like the dominant anime aesthetic, like moving forward for a very long time. And when you look at his stuff, you see manga for like the next 20 years. Because he was also like, he started around the 60s, 70s. He really hit famous-dom in the 70s. He was kind of almost doing like a Charles Schultz kind of thing, but with less ennui, I think. And his stuff's very funny. I still like it. I think he's good. Weird dude. But I think that's really interesting. We start with those two to establish like where manga was in the 60s. And then we make a very interesting jump. Check this out. This is number 3. This is where we went to after those two guys. We went straight into a Rumiko Takahashi room.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that is not exactly like a shocking choice.
It's not shocking, but it was very interesting to go from those two guys straight into Rumiko Takahashi, who is someone who is like who's concurrently publishing with this exhibit, which included very unfortunate things like spoilers for Mao, which I am currently reading and had not caught up to the pages they were displaying in the exhibit.
That's a you problem, dude.
Hey, I'm not getting mad about it, but I did think it was funny to go to a museum exhibit and get spoiled on a fucking comic you're reading.
I think it would be even weirder to go to a museum exhibit and then like presented with a spoilers warning tag like at the beginning. I would find that maybe offensive.
Yeah, it was funny, but they had a lot of Ranma drawings, some Inuyasha, some of her short story collections, including some of the panels from her short stories, the mermaid short stories, and then kind of concurrent works like Mao, which I thought was very interesting. And they kind of positioned her as one of the masters of 80s manga, which hard to argue with.
Yeah, no, I think that's fitting, I can't think of any other particular artist that has more impact in that particular time period than Rumiko Takahashi. There's the Hunter x Hunter guy, and he was doing Yu Yu Hakusho around then, which was big, but he didn't have like multiple smash hits the way she did in the 80s. Or like, Dragon Ball, which was just kind of its own monolith aside. Like, she was cranking out Sailor Moon, Ranma 1/2.
Yeah, Yorosai Yatsura. I mean, yes, obviously, she is incredibly dominant. I think she is an interesting choice for this period, not just because she was huge and continues to be huge, which is, man, imagine being consistently popular for 45 years in an industry like comics. It's pretty wild.
It's a crazy achievement, and you know, people. Honestly, I agree. People do need to talk about her more. As a major influence on what we consider anime today.
Yeah, and her shit still whips, man.
Yeah, no, it's fucking awesome, dude.
It's good. Ranma's still good.
Ranma's topping charts.
Good.
It's top 10 series right now in fall season.
They're still making jokes about that in Dan to Dan.
Yep.
In fact, I think Dan to Dan has made jokes actually about every single manga that was in this exhibit. But we go from Rumiko Takahashi as a really interesting example into Taniguchi Jiro. Do you know Taniguchi Jiro?
Probably. Again, don't quiz me on a lot of these names, man.
I'm interested in which ones kind of like made the big one. I know you are familiar with him because he did The Solitary Gourmet.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah. He is that guy.
And he has a very particular stylized realism style, He has a very down to earth kind of more realistically featured proportioned art style compared to like Rumiko Takahashi, who kind of pioneered what became the Western concept of anime for a long time.
Yes. I think Jiro Taniguchi's inclusion here is very interesting because he is sort of representative of what I thought of as kind of the Katsuhiro Otomo era and style.
Yeah.
I think Otomo and Jiro kind of do a very similar look. And they're both very, very intricate with their like background work and their paneling. And they're both like very inspired by like Mobius in a lot of ways.
Well, sure.
In these like very kind of but grounded but strange
Mobius.
landscapes. Mobius. And he's done a bunch of like very serious and grounded works, not just the Solitary Gourmet, which I hate, but a lot of really interesting like poetic works, semi-autobiographical stuff.
Now you hate it because that guy sucks, and not just because I like it,
that
right?
That guy fucking sucks. I hate it because he sucks. I think notably this is like one of Guillermo del Toro's favorite mangaka. I think that's interesting.
That is actually an interesting.
Yeah.
I would assume that he would be much more, I guess the obvious answer would be like a Junji Ito fan, which I'm sure he is. But, knowing what I know about Jiro Taniguchi's body of work, he has more of an eye for the realistic and the mundane, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just think that his stories function much more as like grounded, like humanist, kind of stories as opposed to the fantastical.
I think Del Toro is a capital R romanticist. And I think Jiro Taniguchi is at his best kind of like a visual poet. And I think that's what's interesting to him. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess, I'm sure he's given interviews about this stuff.
Yeah. I wish I could remember because I went to a Guillermo del Toro museum exhibit years ago. And I wonder if I was able to go back in time if he had any Jiro Taniguchi stuff in that exhibit.
I wonder. I'm sure he has some of the manga, but I found that very interesting inclusion as a guy who's working in the late 80s, early 90s, doing sort of almost the kind of Otomo-esque stuff, which is like in my mind, people who are interested in using manga as what we would call like a graphic novel style over here, as reductive as that term is and has become.
I mean, we've been pretty clear about how we feel about the term graphic novel.
Yes, I know. But we move from him to somebody who's also really interesting and somebody that I would not have really thought of in this context. But we go from him to Mari Yamazaki. Are you familiar with her?
Yeah, I believe so. Let's see.
She did Thermae Rome, I think is her most notable work right now because it has an anime adaptation about the Roman guy who comes to Japan to do hot springs.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And there's a live action adaptation as well.
Yes. And I think she's really interesting because she is one of the inclusions here who does not consider herself a manga artist. She considers herself like a multimedia artist and like a designer and a writer. But these manga projects that she's done are like the thing everybody knows her for because people like manga. Her stuff's very interesting, and she is, again, like an incredibly non-traditional manga artist. This is not the canonical anime face kind of manga. She's a really interesting person. She spent most of the 2000s and 2010s like living outside of Japan and exploring different cultures.
Good.
And so
Good
I
for
think that's
her.
kind of... I know. I think that's one of the reasons she does not consider herself a mangaka, because she is not particularly interested in manga and like traditional Japanese pop culture.
Oh,
she's
okay.
interested in like art history and poetry and stuff.
You know what? I am familiar with at least one of her works, and that is the manga biography of Steve Jobs that she did.
Yes, and they had that copy at the exhibit too, which I found hilarious. It's so funny. And there is a moment where he's sitting in a car and he takes a bite of an apple and he looks at it ponderously, which is insanely funny.
And he's listening to the Beatles on the radio, and he says, "Huh."
Huh. Anyway, she's a very interesting person. But then we take a huge jump, and this is now we are rocketing back into manga, because the next room was, of course, our boy Hirohiko Araki.
Yeah, boy.
It's our fucking dude. It was JoJo. It was a room of JoJo.
You got a whole room of JoJo?
There's a whole room of JoJo, including wall-sized murals and his like original prints that he did for like the Rohan Kishibe at the Louvre series he did, which is just my God.
That would have made the entire thing worth it for me.
Yeah,
that sounds so
great.
awesome.
And they had his illustrations that he did for Hermès and Gucci, right? And like just the all the fashion stuff as well, which is just like it was so good. So good. It fucking rocked. There was some exclusive illustrations he had done for this thing because, of course, the man just churns out whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
He's my dude, of course. And it was great, and we weren't allowed to take pictures of it. So,
of course
unfortunately,
not.
I cannot show you. But
hey, got to keep that shit on lock, man.
Yeah. Then we moved into another interesting one. They wanted to include a lot of women in this exhibit, I think for obvious reasons, because what manga is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I don't understand. I don't know what you're talking about right now.
I think you get it. I think you get
no,
it.
manga's for everybody. We have a real egalitarian, equal opportunity community here. You know,
I think purely content wise, I think it's self-explanatory. But
I don't know what
they
he's
include
talking
Kazumi Yamashita. Do you know Kazumi Yamashita?
No.
She's a really interesting manga artist. She's also won a Tezuka Award, a cultural Tezuka Award. I think Land and Wonder Boy, I believe, are probably her biggest known works. Land is a really strange kind of semi-mythological, like time-spanning series, sort of like What If Cloud Atlas was good? It's really crazy. It's very cool. I suggest anybody read it. It has an extraordinarily iconic cover. Just go and look at the cover, and I think if that hits you, you're gonna love it. Wonder Boy is a really strange thing about like a kind of a like a beautiful Baishoujo character who is maybe an angel, kind of going through people's lives and teaching them moral lessons, sort of. It's very weird.
Okay.
Very weird. She's done
All
some
right.
great work, but I think, again, like she is somebody who is more interested in visual poetry and exploring the boundaries of like what manga can be culturally. I think you'll find that's a common theme in Tezuka Award winners from like the last 25 to 30 years.
Well, yeah, and you know the unkind way to say that would be the winners tend to be artists who don't feel bogged down by the strappings of anime or manga as a like wider cultural like conglomerate. They are artists telling a story in a visual medium, but again, the condescending way is to say like, oh, that's just like a really good piece of art. That's not manga. Manga's bad and schlocky, which it is.
It's bad and schlocky, obviously, but these are people who are, they're still at the mercy of the industry. These are people who are being serialized in manga magazines, not Shonen Jump.
I mean, okay, I suppose that
but they're still in comics.
Personally, reached like the same level of monumental status as like a Miyazaki, which is where I'm. I used to
He's
say
the only real one.
I used to have like a shitty attitude about it and say like, yeah, I don't even consider Ghibli films anime because they're just like good movies, man. I don't say that
you're a
anymore.
dumb guy.
No, I don't say that anymore. I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb anymore. I got better.
You're not dumb
People,
anymore.
I got better. You got to believe me.
You're getting better.
You got to believe that I got better. But that's something that I used to say, and it's like a stupid, dumb opinion. Like, don't say that.
So moving from her, we go into another really interesting deep cut, not really a deep cut, but a different dimension of manga that I think most people would go for. They move into a room of Gengoro Tagame. Do you know Gengoro Tagame?
I do not.
He's incredibly famous, like a gay erotic artist. He's pretty well known for My Brother's Husband, which is big burly bear gay men having tender romances.
Is he the guy that did the Yaranaika face?
I don't know. What do you mean? I don't know what the Yaranaika face is.
It's that meme from ages ago of it's from a BL kind of like bearish manly men porn comic where the main character is looking over and he sees a guy making a sexy face at him at the park, and the face became a meme for a while. You'll recognize it as soon as you see it.
Well, it might be. He is very well known in these circles. He's really kind of like a breakthrough artist for like gay manga for gay men.
Gay manga for gay men.
Oh, that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's him. No.
Okay, all right.
Because his focus is, like I said, like the bear, right? Big dudes. Mm-hmm. Dudes for dudes, you know?
Big strapping lads.
Tom of Finland kind of shit. Guys with beards. We are not talking about BL, right? This is the real shit, you know? Which I think is very interesting because despite the incredible popularity of BL, we don't have a lot of actual gay manga. Like actual gay manga, you know?
Well, there was that manga that I read last year about the guy trying to get on Drag Race. And that was the gayest manga I've ever read.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like there were a lot of bears.
No,
in that one,
there was one bear. There was one.
So he's a really interesting inclusion. I didn't realize how much non-manga art he had done, but he really did like a lot of very, I guess I would say hyper masculine. Like I said, kind of Tom of Finland kind of
sure.
Artist,
yeah. Well, you know, it's a big market. People like that shit. You know. Not me.
Oh, you say that, but I do not see a lot of that stuff show up in like the more mainstream manga that we read. There are basically none of these guys that aren't joke characters.
Right. Well, that is, you know, we go like in Full Metal Alchemist, the Colonel character, Armstrong. That's kind of his whole deal. And then their teacher's husband is also like a big, like chubby bear dude. And, you know, yes, people love those guys.
I get the feeling though that Arakawa is not she does not take those people particularly seriously as
no, I think that she's very into
like sexual objects.
I think that she's very sexually into muscle men, like as a straight woman. I think that's like her thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, who knows? And then we move from him into another really interesting artist, Fumi Yoshinaga. Are you familiar with her?
Okay, stop asking me.
She does more traditional BL stuff.
Okay.
Recently, her manga Oko the Inner Chamber was on Netflix. You know that one, right?
No, I missed that one.
It's a sort of alt history about a Japan where a plague has killed most men, and so politics has become dominated by women. So the shogun is a woman, and she has her own man harem, and that's sort of what the story is about.
Okay.
She does a lot of gender play.
Sure.
As well as kind of more tame stories about the daily life of sort of older gay couples that are not like romances. They're like daily life kind of comics, which I think are really notable.
Like slice of life stuff.
Yeah. About, again, as we always say, about adults.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like gay adults that are not fetishized in any way, which is like a really stark contrast.
That's the anomalous part of this whole thing. That seems like it's got to be for somebody, but I can't imagine the market is very big, but I like that take on it. I think that more realistic, down to earth takes on these types of like romantic stories. Not even romantic, just like you said, stories about people in this situation. I like seeing more of that
people
stuff.
in the situation of being gay.
being big old gays.
They found themselves in the particular situation of being gay.
Due to circumstances, they're gay.
One day I woke up and I found that I was gay. What a bizarre situation.
Okay, we're dragging a little long on here. I want to go back to something you said.
Because we're done.
Okay,
thank you for getting to me right when I'm wrapping it up. But thank you for that.
Well, no, I want to go back and touch on one thing, because you mentioned that they also have some kind of take on what the future of manga is going to be. And what did you mean by that?
There is it moves into a very brief thing about Kubo Tite, Kube Tito,
Bleach
Kubo
Man,
Tite. Yeah, I always
Bleach
get that
Man.
mixed up. I think it's Kubo Tite. Yeah, Bleach, and Junji Ito. And Kubo Tite is right now doing, I guess, trying to pioneer this technique of reintroducing like physical media that is not just copies of the manga. So they are selling like full actual prints of like comic panels and one-offs that are printed like in old school like printing press style. And they had some examples of like the printing plates that they were using and the methodology of doing this, and presenting it as a way for people to continue supporting artists and receiving physical prints of art without completely succumbing to like the digital economy, right?
Okay.
That being said, each of the print comes with an NFT copy, which I thought was very funny.
Wow, way to dive bomb right at the end there.
I know, but the product itself looks very good, and they had a couple from other artists as well. There was a cut of some of the covers from Rosa Versailles were also being printed like that, which I thought were very nice.
Okay.
They had some examples of it, and they look fucking awesome.
Wasn't there
crisp
Rosa Versailles anime came out recently, or maybe is coming out? Yeah. That's cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, the beautiful looking covers on that original manga.
Yeah, and the prints are great.
Yeah.
So they had that. They had Junji Ito Junji Ito is transitioning into full digital media. He put up what he considers his last ink and paper drawing up in the exhibit, which is a preview of his copy of Moby Dick that he's currently working on, which looks like it's gonna fucking rule, by the way.
That sounds awesome. I have his copy
awesome
of the illustrated version of Frankenstein that he did a few years ago. That also freaking rules.
Yeah, I am very excited for this Moby Dick. Like, very excited. From the one illustration that he put up, it looks like it's going to be fucking good.
Is it of the whale?
No, it's a full tableau of like everything.
All right. I'm looking
We've got
forward to
Ishmael,
that.
We've got Queequeg, we've got fucking there are fish monsters in it that he drew.
Hell yeah.
We've got a Moby Dick. He's actually in there. They're not playing coy. He's gonna be in there.
He's gonna be in it.
He's gonna be in it. He's probably gonna be in it a lot because he's a big ass monster.
Wow.
Anyway, that's kind of where we wrapped up, and then we go into 2 full rooms of One Piece. Lots and lots of One Piece.
That you did not pay extra for.
No, that's just the regular One Piece exhibit. Then there was the other special One Piece exhibit. So there were 3 full rooms of Oda. And man, they were puffing him up like crazy. The entire thing wraps up before you get to the gift shop of like, yeah, so here's Eiichiro Oda, here's One Piece. One Piece is the thing. It is the biggest thing ever. One Piece is manga. They really puffed him up. Despite going through a very interesting lineup we dump out into the and Ichiro Oda is manga room, which I thought was very funny.
Very auspicious timing, right on the cusp of the hype train starting for season 2 of the Netflix One Piece show, which Oda is also very personally invested in.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I mean, this is why manga. The manga exhibit exists. It's because of these Oda rooms. So I do not begrudge them at all. I just think it's funny that we went through this tour of very interesting artists here, especially ones that I wouldn't necessarily have picked for myself. And then it's Oda. It's just Oda. It's whatever though. It's Oda is Oda. I mean, who can fucking argue with that?
Well, I've got to say, Remy, I am in awe of your big brain, smart guy move decision to go see manga in a museum.
It is pretty big brain and smart.
You are a genius. I'll give you that. Going to a museum does confer the genius moniker onto you. I, unfortunately, did not do anything near as accolade worthy.
Well, hold on. Stop trying to rush us along. I've wanted to say, first of all, there were some pretty auspicious exclusions here.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think there's some very interesting things that they did not do. And this might have just been, what they had access to or whatever. But I was very surprised that there was no Naoki Urasawa. None.
Not one.
Not one.
See, maybe this is my misunderstanding of what their intent with this exhibit was, because if you tell me that we're going to a history of manga exhibit at a museum, I assume that it's going to take kind of a holistic look, not just at the history of manga within Japan, but as like a global trend, I'm surprised that they didn't talk about no Pokemon. Why didn't they talk about Pokemon, Remy?
Well, because that's not really a manga, is it?
Well, first of all, Pokemon Adventure is a manga.
There's a tie-in comic.
It's the longest running single story in any Pokemon franchise entry. It's a major deal.
But it's a tie-in manga for a video game.
Okay, fine. Then what about they talk about Oda, obviously. Why not Toriyama? Why not more? He just died. Wouldn't this be the perfect time to mention him in a big history of manga exhibit?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I think that is a more interesting exclusion. I think Toriyama, I think Masamune Shirow, I think, like I mentioned earlier, Otomo is an interesting exclusion. Like I said, Naoki Urasawa is an interesting exclusion. Having Kentaro Miura not appear, despite, Berserk being one of the most acclaimed manga ever, is an interesting thing. I think who they excluded here is an interesting and strange collection. And I have to imagine a lot of it is just for access.
Oh, you think they don't want to burn bridges with these people?
No, I think they had to get real pages to display. And a lot of these things are probably hard to put together.
Oh, you mean like actual physical access to exhibit material? Okay.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Like they needed stuff, Like they had Rumiko Takahashi's art, like ink pen, on display.
The one she touched with her hand?
Yeah, and ruined and probably stained a lot of her clothes with. But yeah, my version of it definitely would have had Urasawa. I think that is, for me, the most personally interesting exclusion there. Is there anybody you would have included besides Toriyama or anybody that you think is like a super glaring omission?
I mean, I think that if we're already bringing up One Piece and Bleach in the exhibit, it feels weird not to throw at least a mention out to Musashi Kishimoto and Naruto.
Sure.
Because those are kind of like, people call them the big three. One Piece, Bleach, Naruto. So to admit Naruto is kind of a weird choice. Like, I guess I get it in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. Do you think Bleach is bigger than Naruto? Maybe I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think so.
You think Naruto is the least among the three?
I think for one thing, like Naruto kind of being like, if it's so ignominiously like dropped over the course of its 2 runs, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, most people never even knowing how the story ended, which except for me, apparently, nobody knowing about the fucking moon god or whatever is so funny to me. And then now also that there are 2 people who do Boruto, you know, and Boruto is just, it does not have any cultural impact at large. I know that people love Boruto.
Like 0.
But like, come on, Boruto is nothing. and of course, Oda just completely eclipsing both of them, like by far. Like they're so far behind One Piece. Like ridiculously far behind One Piece.
Who's the
I don't know.
Who's the author who did like 20th Century Boys and Monster? What was his name?
That's Naoki Urasawa.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, sorry. Yeah, weird not to include him. I can't think of any major names that I would have included like off the bat. There's people that I definitely would have liked to see in there, you know, like Nihei would have been cool to see.
Sure,
Costabone. Q Hayashida would have been cool to see in there as like
Absolutely.
a representation of like modernist dark fantasy stuff, but you know, I don't think either of those have near the recognition that some of the other names we've already mentioned that got omitted, you know, have. So, you know, it's like you said, it's weird choices all around. I see why they included the people that they did, you know, for sure. And maybe they were trying to go for more of a vibe of introducing people to, you know, names that are impactful within the industry, but maybe don't have wide international recognition. I can see that being like a focus. But, you know, to include Rumiko Takahashi without including like Urasawa, that's, you know, definitely a choice.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, or leaving out, you know, somebody who is dominating manga right now, somebody who has become perhaps one of the most important mangaka of the modern era is kind of interesting. Somebody like, I don't know,
maybe a Mr.
maybe
Tatsuki Fujimoto, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps somebody like that. Somebody with a name like
maybe
Tatsuki
somebody
Fujimoto.
like that guy, a rising astronomical name in the modern manga discourse.
Yeah. Somebody who is establishing an entirely new paradigm of not only manga and anime in America, but a shifting, an entirely shifting paradigm of like financial anime and manga culture.
Maybe someone who has a movie currently in theaters that's doing gangbuster numbers.
Oh yeah, that's right. He does have a movie in theaters.
He does have a movie in theaters right now.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's this Chainsaw Man, right?
You know, I gotta say, now that we're talking about it, I did happen to catch that little flick over the weekend. I had some spare time, and I thought, hey, why not check out this Chainsaw Man movie? A franchise of which I've never had any interaction with. I didn't know what I was going into there, but boy,
Oh, I'm a big chain head myself.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Big chain head.
Is that what you guys are called, like parrot heads for Jimmy Buffett? You guys call yourselves chain
exactly
heads?
Exactly like Jimmy Buffett's parrot heads. That is the one I would have gone to first as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we call ourselves. We were very excited. You know, I happened to catch this one too.
Oh, really?
Wanted to see it in theaters because, you know, got to support my man.
Gotta support my boy.
Gotta support my man.
Hey, he's the Fire Punch guy. That's
Fire
really
Punch guy.
what they should have had. They should have had a Fire Punch room at this.
That would have been fun.
At this exhibit.
Yeah. You know what? I will say, I did say I got to support our guy, but when I got to the theater, I realized, and this is probably the headline here, I did not have to support our guy because there was more than 5 people in there.
Oh, really?
There were more than 5.
That's insane.
Like, actually a lot more.
Oh, really? A lot more? Because I think there were actually like exactly 5 people in the theater when I went to go see it.
Oh, really? Well, when
Yeah.
did you see it?
I saw it at 1:45 p.m. on a Sunday morning.
So kind of not at the best possible ideal movie screening time.
What are you talking about? That is the best. The best movie screening time is whenever there is going to be the least possible amount of people in the theater.
I gotta disagree. I really gotta disagree with that one.
I cannot,
Yeah.
no, dude. No,
Really
I cannot
gotta disagree with you there, my dude.
I cannot stand being in a movie theater with other people, hearing them fucking chew their goddamn popcorn, crinkling their little wrappers and receipts in their pockets, fucking pulling out their phone every 2 seconds. It drives me up the... I can't stand theater experiences these days, man. So I have to go.
No, that is in fact the good shit.
No.
I'm unfortunate. I unfortunately need to inform you that is the good shit.
Oh man, you know what's even more disappointing is that I think that if we asked Tatsuki Fujimoto, he would agree with you on this one.
He absolutely would agree with me.
Yeah,
I've read his stuff. Mm-hmm. I know what the man thinks.
you know, he is a movie-brained guy first and foremost. That's kind of his thing.
Seeing shit with audiences, and that's why I really did want to see this in theaters with people, because I want to catch the vibe.
Yeah,
I want to ride this vibe shift. I wanted to ride it.
How was the vibe? How was the vibe in your theater?
The vibe was tangible.
Okay,
The vibe was thick, and the vibe was vibrant.
Okay.
We had laughing, we had crying, we had gasping, we had shouting, we had cheering. Mostly me, but other people were also participating. It was a good vibe.
So it sounds like you liked the movie then.
Yo, that shit was good, dog. That shit was fucking good.
It was good.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. They fucking did it. They fucking did it.
Okay. Let's just go back and forth, starting off. What do we like about it? I want to say I really, really liked that intro scene where it's black and white and it's the young Denji walking through kind of that labyrinthine, like back streets kind of inner world that we cut to sometimes. The don't open the door bit, and how that whole scene was like a manga panel come to life, to use a term. It reminded me a lot of how the first episode of the Uzumaki anime from last year looked like.
Yeah.
When it was good.
Yeah. That brief moment where we had hope.
The very brief moment when it was good. I really liked that scene, and I really liked the opening credits animation and the song. I thought the use of color and like having the characters dance around and cutting between all the little vignette like character introductions for everybody, and kind of like giving us like, all right, no dialogue, but visually they're giving us the vibe of what all of these different characters are going to be like in the story.
It was a Bond credit sequence.
Yeah.
Which is very fun to see in movies again, because those don't really exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Like credit sequences. And I know they were doing it because it's like an episode of the anime, but it is very fun to see a legit credit sequence in a movie again.
I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I think what I liked most about it was that there's really strong interpretive directorial choices. I mean, I've said this about everything I like, because that is the one thing I like about anime. But it
when it has a visual voice that you can follow along with.
Well, when directors make strong visual storytelling choices and make interesting choices in a scene, we've talked about it a million times, but I really struck me watching this movie, and when we were talking about it afterwards, like, I think one of the reasons this is doing good and why anime is doing good in general is not necessarily because like we are all suddenly obsessed with anime and it's like some kind of special sauce, but that everything else in filmic culture and TV culture right now is boring to look at. And anime and manga, for whatever faults they ever have, they tend to not be boring to look at. And I mean, not just because there's like monsters and colors on screen, but that for whatever reason, the directors have the ability to do strange and unexpected things with pacing, with scene setting, with the way that they cut and frame scenes, the things that they choose to show, the way that they show action, the way that they frame conversations, I think is like light years ahead of what people are just doing as normal filmmaking right now in other arenas. And I think that is such a huge part of why Chainsaw Man the movie is dominating right now, making more money than anyone thought a movie could make, like in America.
Well, a Chainsaw Man movie could make in America. It's still kind of far behind in total sales than the Demon Slayer movie, which was like, Titanic levels. The Demon Slayer movie is in one of the top 10 highest grossing like movies of all time. Like,
yes,
movies
Demon Slayer
ever made.
was huge. Demon Slayer was huge, but if you've looked at the trades like I have, you will see that there are suddenly like Hollywood people who for the first time are like, hey, what is anime? Wait, hold on. What is this? What is happening right now? What is anime?
After 50 years, they're finally starting to notice.
This Chainsaw Man released, and people like old guard people in Hollywood were like, I don't understand. What is a Chainsaw Man? What is happening? Why is what we didn't think we were literally giving up on the movie making industry at large, and now we're seeing this weird cartoon is putting people in seats in theaters like we thought that this era was over, and apparently it is not. Like straight up, that is the word. It's like, oh shit, we thought theaters were dead, and they are not actually. People will go and see movies.
I don't know. It's a weird time we're living in because, that kind of parallels the current landscape for horror movies as well. The last decade, there's been this huge push to adapt IP, find IP to exploit, and like turn into a franchise, especially in horror. With legacy sequels, remakes, reboots, what have you. And then right when they were about to give up on everything, Sinners and Weapons came out, and both confused the hell out of people. Like, wait, people will go see horror movies in a theater? Like, for real? But I thought we tried everything. It turns out they had not. Turns out they had not tried everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
They had not tried making interesting stuff.
Yeah. And boy, is the Chainsaw movie, like you said, visually interesting to look at. I think one of my favorite, affectations they put in there are a lot of the big, action visual punchline. The culminations, explosions, big fight scenes, they all kind of have these splash images thrown in to accentuate a big movement, and the colors that they use are a very obviously visual reference to Tatsuki Fujimoto's style for the Chainsaw Man volume covers, with these bright contrasting neon colors everywhere. So it's like something will explode and we'll get a freeze frame of this beautiful rainbow scape, pop culture art still frame, before we'll get a half second of it, and then before the action carries on. And it's really, really fun to look at.
Yeah, everything is fun to look at. That's what I was talking about when we left the theater, talking about how I don't even think necessarily the success of this movie is about Chainsaw Man, right? The plot of Chainsaw Man, people's investment in these characters. Like I said earlier, I think genuinely this boils down to, man, this is a fun thing to look at. Everything is fun to look at.
Visually, yes, everything is fun to look at. I think that I have to slightly disagree on your other point, in that I do think that they were banking on a lot of audience, like, emotional attachment pre-existing for these characters, because they do not set up anything narrative-wise, like, about what is going on with the plot or people's motivations or anything. This is a straight continuation from the end of episode 12 of the anime. Like, we're rolling right into it. They expect you to have watched that to know who all these people are. They expect you already know who the Gun Devil is, how, like, the devil power system works, and why Denji has chainsaws. None of that is, like, set up, which is something that a lot of these anime movies usually do. You know, they try and make it as standalone as possible as an entry point for people into the series who haven't, like, you know, seen it yet. That was, like, the 90s style, or, you know, of doing an anime movie, is their side stories that are meant to onboard people to the main series. But this is a continuation. You know, this isn't like a Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but the director of this is also the guy who did the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie.
Sure. Which was a good movie.
Great movie. Loved it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think you do actually have to know who these characters are to get the full, like, emotional resonance of the Reze arc.
I'm sympathetic, but I have to disagree. I don't think you have to give a single shit about who these people are, what they're doing, what they care about. Because frankly, I don't think Fujimoto does very much. Like,
well, definitely not by chapter 200 of the manga. Yeah. I think that at this point he probably still cared a little bit.
I think most of it is, check out these fucking weirdos doing weird shit. I think it's very easy to understand what is happening without ever knowing anything about Chainsaw Man. And what is happening is a bunch of weird shit. In fact, I think a lot of the beats of this movie in particular work way better if you have no familiarity with Chainsaw Man at all.
Really? I'm not so sure about that.
I think if you do not know what Chainsaw Man is, I think this hits way harder for people who don't know anything about Chainsaw Man. You come into this and you're like, what the fuck? But also that mostly works as well because I think Denji's character motivations are so extremely apparent and are so cleanly legible. I was thinking about, you know what my favorite moment in the entire thing is when Reze is trying to get him into the swimming pool and he's going, no, I can't, I don't want to, my heart belongs to another, I can't, but my body refuses to obey me. And then there's that great weird sequence where like all the women in his life are flashing in front of him, and then he opens his eyes and he's naked. I think is the best. It is an interpretation of a 2-panel joke in the comic, and I think it actually makes it a million times better and is like just an incredible movie sequence in itself.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
It reminds me of seeing like the crystallization of some of like Edgar Wright's techniques early on when I still liked him. And being like, man, this guy knows how to like make a thing look interesting on screen.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that feeling.
I agree with you so much is that I think Denji by design is not a complex character. I think he is intentionally a very simple character, and thus it's pretty easy for most people to pick up on what Denji's deal is, you know? I think it's less obvious.
Yeah, he says it a million times.
Yes, he says it to the camera, looking like down the barrel to the audience. He says, I just do whatever women tell me to because I want to get laid. Like, that's Denji. I think where it gets murkier is characters like Aki, who, without knowing his backstory set up in the first season of the show, he's just kind of like a guy who's around for the movie. but you don't know why you're supposed to care about him. He's just a character the movie seems to be focusing on for some reason.
But I would say what's interesting about Aki in this movie is that he doesn't matter because his character is a foil to the Angel Devil. And the Angel Devil story in this movie is an actual story, and Aki's isn't. And I think that's really interesting. And I think that is a brilliant framing that makes it so that Aki's entire deal doesn't matter.
Okay. I mean, I can see that.
And the Angel Devil doesn't need any setup here because the Angel Devil has no setup in the manga either.
Well, that's kind of a recurring writing choice, I'll call it, with Fujimoto, is he just throws characters in willy-nilly out of nowhere all the time, you know, to the point where, and again, maybe this is intentional, near the latter chapters of Chainsaw Man, he's just throwing in, like, people that he tells us are significant characters, it seems like every other chapter, and then they disappear every other chapter. And yeah. I think maybe he's just fucking with us at this point.
Yeah. I think he's also playing with the idea that Chainsaw Man needs to have a story.
Yeah.
The idea that there needs to be like some kind of intricate plot to follow along when there isn't, and there doesn't have to be. There's just things that are happening. I think actually, if you've read the most recent chapters, he makes very explicit that there isn't anything happening. There is no need for a plot or any kind of overarching explanation. When a character is like, I'm going to go do a big plot arc, and then 2 panels later, they're like, I'm back from doing that. Like, oh, okay, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down, Fujimoto. And it's that this shit doesn't matter. I get it, man.
I don't know. I think just in general, the Reze arc, as they're calling it in the movie title, is probably like, it was probably the best chunk of story to adapt into a single movie, because relative to the overall number of chapters of the manga, it's not very long. You know, it's maybe 15 chapters out of like a 200-something chapter story at this point. And Reze, for whatever reason, has had an extremely long-lasting impact on, like, you know, the readers. I would say that she's generally ranked somewhere near the top of people's favorite characters. I don't know. How do you feel about, like, this whole thing, like this whole self-contained story as, you know, part of the greater all no story we were just talking about?
Yeah. Well, I think I have 2 thoughts on it. One being that this is exactly the thing I said about the Spy Family movie, which was it should have been the self-contained boat story, which had just enough juice to make a great movie out of, but not enough to do like a 3 or 4 episode arc on the show. And I think they finally figured that out, and that's why this movie works, because they were like, oh, we don't need to like drag this part out through a bunch of different episodes where the pacing is going to be weird. Mm-hmm. We can just drop this in. But I think this also is the exact heart of the vibe shift I was talking about earlier, where these studios have come to an understanding, not just because Demon Slayer made a bunch of money, but from a lot of different smaller things building up to this moment, in that who gives a shit about TV?
No, not me.
Who gives it? Why did we care? Why did we all pretend that TV was where anime should be? Why did we all have to like go along with that delusion for so long when the TV industry itself does not make financial sense at all?
Not anymore. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
This is all in hindsight. It did at the time. Trust me. We did stuff at the time for a reason.
It seemed like it. But, you know, even Crunchyroll itself is now like, wait, we should just be a movie distributor. Why were we fucking around with TV shows? And I think this is the future. I think this is it. And the movie itself is not necessarily because Reze arc is like a good movie arc, but that movies are a better fit for this shit than TV is, even though manga is this like weird serialized format where the rule of thumb, of course, before was like, you take 2 chapters of a manga and you turn it into a 20 to 25 minute episode of a show.
Oh, that has not been the formula for a long time. Now it's like you take the first 4 or 5 chapters and turn it into a 20-minute TV episode.
Yeah, that rule of thumb is slowly broken down, and people have realized, like, oh, wait, like, none of this kind of makes any sense anymore. And I think we have all basically, with this movie, we are snapping out of this bizarre fever dream. And I think moving forward, I mean, this is a bold claim, and I don't think it's going to be night and day, but I think moving forward, anime is a movie thing again.
Yeah.
I think that's what this is.
I mean, we still have the TV movie premiere of Tatsuki Fujimoto's 1726 coming up. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right on this one.
I think so. And I think seeing that this movie has probably, like, from a pure second of animation to dollar bill ratio, this movie is extremely successful and has completely blown away every single fucking episode of Chainsaw Man that they had to, like, excruciatingly, like, extract frame by frame from people's blood.
Oh, trust me, they absolutely did that to these animators as well for the movie. They just somehow they learned the secret formula of, like, how many minutes on the rack it takes to get a good frame out of these guys.
I mean, I don't know if Demon Slayer people came out and like said it explicitly, but I think they've pretty much made it clear that Demon Slayer is just going to be movies now. They have abandoned the TV format.
Interesting.
Which is a smart decision because the TV format was dumb for them, and I think it's dumb for anime in general.
Well, it's my understanding that this most recent Demon Slayer movie is kind of like it's the start of the end arc of the manga anyway. So it kind of makes sense that they would focus on just doing movies from here on out.
Well, kind of, but they've also been stretching. Demon Slayer has been stretched out to within an inch of its life,
Uh-huh.
I would say some crass metaphors.
Like butter spread over too much toast.
Sure, let's go with that. That's a family-friendly one. But, like, they're doing that because, again, I think the financial aspect of it makes more sense. This Chainsaw Man movie was an hour and 40 minutes, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what, 4 episodes of the show, depending on how you break it down?
Yeah, I would say like 4 episodes.
And nobody wants to pay for anime on TV. Not even Mappa wants to pay its artists for anime episodes on TV. And the audience certainly does not want to pay for anime on TV. Nobody wants to pay a fucking dime.
Nobody wants to pay.
But people like to go to the movies, and you can't pirate the movie theater experience. I guess you can walk in through the back, but that's harder to do than open a torrent.
I mean, hey, I've done my best to try and recreate the movie experience any way I can outside of actually going to a real movie theater. Trust me, I've tried.
Yeah, you've tried, and it's not working.
It works well enough as a facsimile, but there's a certain feel that you just don't get. You got to have those sticky floors with some popcorn.
And I think everybody is, like I said, over and over again. I think this they have snapped out of it and realized that this is what makes sense. We have been trending towards this anyway, right? Because of all these, like, ever shrinking amounts of episodes and screen time per season. Now they've started using that word I hate, cour, right?
Yeah, cour.
To describe shorter seasons.
I think people are settling into just calling them, like, season 1, part 1. Seems to be the prevailing language.
Which is incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Insanely stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just legal bullshit, so you don't have to pay people as much, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is dumb.
Yeah, because the financial side of it just is not making sense. If this continues to trend and we have Core 1 Part 1, mini core, and they're putting out 4-episode seasons eventually anyway, then we've arrived here.
They're just going to turn them into movies.
They're just TV movies anyway.
Yeah.
We've arrived at the same place. So, fuck it. Abandon ship. Abandon ship. TV sucks and nobody likes it anymore. Let's go back to movies. The best American anime culture that has ever existed here was in the 80s when Akira and Ghost in the Shell came out. To this day, that is what anime means to the vast majority of non-anime watching Americans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is the release of 2 movies. It has never been television.
Well, and
that's where we're going.
I mean, this only builds on your case, but, Ghibli movies as well.
And Ghibli movies, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, fuck it. Let's just do movies.
Fuck it. Fuck TV, movies.
That it?
Movies now. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
Movies, baby.
It's movies, baby.
Chainsaw Man movie. The ultimate takeaway from Chainsaw Man movie is movies. Movies rock.
Yeah,
movies are good.
Go watch movies.
Good.
Stop watching anime on TV. It's dumb.
Yeah, anime is good in movie format, and
you know what?
It's
you know what?
Good.
I saw those first 3 episodes of Dan to Dan, season 2, in a movie theater as a movie. It was better. It was better.
It was cool. I saw Gundam, the first 3 or 4 episodes of Gundam, in a movie theater, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool.
Yeah, I saw that Spy Family movie in a theater. It was good. Well, it was okay. It was
good. It should have been the boat. It should have been the boat.
Should have been the boat.
Should have been the boat, but it was good.
I did not appreciate the 40-minute extended poop joke, but that's just me.
Yeah, it was not. I didn't really like that.
Okay,
should have been the boat.
Beautiful, handsome, tall listeners, go watch movies. Don't watch anime. Just watch movies.
Watch movies.
I think that's it. Go watch movies,
all right,
people.
Go watch movies.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye. For the culture.